Good afternoon to all the delegates who have joined us today for the World CIO 200 Summit 2022, powered by BOTS and Global CIO Forum. On behalf of the Global CIO Forum, I welcome you all to the Pakistan edition. It is a great pleasure to have you all here today. Continuing the legacy of the event, we are very excited to begin this edition. This year, the CIO 200 Summit revolves around the theme of Lead X, leading through transformation, where technology is borderless, ambitions are fearless, and leadership is limitless. On that note, it gives me great pleasure to call upon the CEO of GEC Media Group, Ronak Simantare, to present the inaugural welcome note.
Thanks, Naila, for this warm welcome. And very good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all our participants and guests who have joined in virtually for the CIO Roadshow 2022 Pakistan edition. We are very, very glad to be here today and take this journey forward. CIO 200 has been a long circle for us this year, where we are touring 40+ countries, and from August till now we've been after one country to another. In some countries we've been physical, in some we have been virtual. So, but again, like this is the last leg of the roadshow, and from here we go straight to the finale, which will be in Thailand, which is on 23rd and 24th of November. But again, like this year, it has been a great journey for us, especially with the technological changes, with the digital transformation which is happening across the globe. And there's been a lot of learning curves for us, for the audience, for the sponsors, for the technology vendors, and as well as for the CIOs as well. And this has been very, very encouraging for us that we have been successfully created a platform where the two end meets. And without a further ado, definitely we'll move ahead with the Pakistan edition. But before we start, congratulations to all the winners who are the winners for CIO 200 Pakistan edition. And hopefully we will see the top ones joining us in the finale. So thank you so much, and I can see a great lineup speaking and panel discussion today, and I'm sure it will be an exciting one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ronak, for the welcome note. Now I would like to call upon Syed Abdul Qadir, Executive Director, IT and Cyber Risk Assurance, to present the country welcome note.
Thank you very much, Diana and Ronak, for a great insights, and love to see that the overwhelming success. Of course, thank you very much for the great intro. And we are, Pakistan is not last but not least. And we are really grateful on behalf of all Pakistan. We are really grateful to whole GC Media Group, Tushar, Ronak, Anushre, and all who brought the World CIO 200 Roadshow 2022 for Pakistan, and of course selected me as a country advisor from Pakistan. As our host also mentioned, that world had experienced technology summit like none other than this CIO 200 in, I think, 35+ countries. And delegates, away from the day-to-day routines, stand an opportunity to focus on key insights shared by world-class speakers, analysts, and thought leaders that can not only help them build their relation with them, but also discover opportunities that will assist driving their business way forward. So with the same approach and methodology, we will also get insights from our Pakistani technology leaders that how you can revisit your digital transformation strategy and rewrite digital mandate with a value addition. Of course, unfortunately, COVID-19 has also really changed our lives, and fortunate for the technology, instead of having this conference fully in person. We are doing it on a virtual approach. And it is now becoming a new norm globally. And every organization in the whole world is using technology for core business operations. And the timings could not be the better like this. Recent shifts in business models have prompted many enterprises to speed up their digitization programs, leading to the new pattern of demand, higher traffic on digital channels. And of course, those charged with governance like CEOs, boards are turning to their technology leadership to help increasing their resilience and creating the business values. And similarly, as far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan is also taking part in the worldwide digital transformation journey, as the country had a huge potential, over 180 million mobile subscribers, about 80 million active internet users, a huge world top 3 freelance market, 70 million smartphone users. However, at the same time, the risks related to IT have a huge impact. And when we see key IT projects fail, it often means a huge and sometimes devastating setback for an organization, for its stakeholder, and especially for the customers. As Steve Jobs once said, you have got to start with the customer experience first and work back towards the technology, not the other way around. So post-pandemic, IT is also easily one of the biggest expense in the organization. Therefore, need of the technology governance is much more evident now. On the other hand, IT leaders now will have the vital role to safeguard the organization pandemic containment measures. And as per the recent PwC study, 2/3 of the digital transformation projects failed due to the complexity and not making good or the timely decisions during this post-pandemic situation. Keeping this in mind, first, I would like to congratulate the GEC media and all. And now I would request my host to invite my learned and experienced fellow panelists in expressing their views regarding the digital transformation strategy using emerging technologies in terms of its value for business, its governance, its risk management, and what will be the futuristic challenges may face today, being concerned or being recommended as the technology leader of the organization. So over to the host, please.
Thank you, Syed Abdul Qadir. The World CIO 200 Summit, established in 2017, is a multi-country CIO felicitation ceremony that recognizes the achievements of the digital leaders of today. Touring globally, we award the hardest taskmasters who have brought transformative changes in the IT infrastructure of the organization. This year, starting with the Europe edition, we have toured 40 plus countries, and upon the completion of the Pakistan roadshow, the grand finale will be held on 23rd to 24th November in Thailand. Now, I would like to welcome our expert panel for today's event, beginning with Syed Abdul Qadir, Executive Director, IT and Cyber Risk Assurance, PwC Pakistan. Dr. Imran Batada, CTO and Director, CIT, Institute of Business Management. Mehzad Sahar, CISO, Engro Corporation Limited. Shaukat Ali Khan, Global Chief Information Officer, the Aga Khan University. Iftikhar Arif, General Manager, Information Technology and E-Commerce, Muller and Phipps, Pakistan Private Limited. Syed Asif Shah, Chief Information Officer, Central Depository Company of Pakistan Limited. Faisal Anwar, Chief Information Officer, United Bank Limited. Over to you, panelists.
Thank you, Diana. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First, I would like to thank you. Thanks, Mr. Abdul Qadir and GCC Media for setting up the technological arena in Pakistan. It is really an honor for us to represent Pakistan at such a prestigious global forum. Assalamu alaikum and a good day, everyone, wherever you are. My name is Iftikhar Arif, and I'm a General Manager Information Technology at MNP. And I'm moderating this panel today. I would like to add what Mr. Abdul Qadir said about the digital transformation, that the digital transformation rewrite business models by making them more flexible and responsive to modern day digital challenges. Based on my experience, a digital transformation strategy assembles and coordinates critical business components of an organization, enabling processes and workforce efficiency in the face of constant market change. So, may it be government digitalization, cloud formation for educational institute, or any other large business, a good digital transformation strategy needs nurturing with the latest technologies. And this brings us to our topic of today's discussion, that is rewriting the digital and business transformation strategy with futuristic technologies and forward-looking business roadmap. Let us start our discussion by introducing our esteemed panel. Although I wish I could have an additional hour to introduce our legends and their contributions towards Pakistan IT industry, they all are IT gurus in their respective industries. It is my pleasure to share the stage with some renowned fellows, Mr. Faisal Anwar Sahab, Mr. Syed Asif Ali Shah, Shaukat Ali Khan Sahab, Mezat Seher, and Dr. Imran Batata. Well, we start with the joint question to the entire panel. I'm sure all of you must have made successful DTS, data transformation strategy, for your companies. I would like to know that from a practical point of view, what can be the pitfalls in a strong looking transformation strategy?
First of all, I would like to thank the World CIO 200 Summit for giving us this opportunity. And remember that Pakistan is also one of the countries who are believing on technology and digital transformation. And as I have been saying in the global stage, that COVID actually gave us this reset model, because yes, there is a first world countries, there are third world countries, but COVID gave equal opportunities to all of us to reset and rethink about digital transformation and the importance of digitalization in any institution. So I think you mentioned about the pitfall. So let me just give you a very 1-minute summary about the institution I work for. I work for the Aga Khan University and Hospitals. We operate in 6 countries: Pakistan, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Afghanistan, and UK. And our strong belief, because remember that as a starting point, we are not all together in one place. So we are, from the day one, we are believing and we are relying on the digitalization part. So with regards to Aga Khan University, I think from our board, from our chancellor, His Highness the Aga Khan, we have a clear mandate of working for the quality improvement of the lives of the people in the regions where we are operating. So our university actually works on 4 principles. It's called IQRA, IQRA. It's I for impact, Q for quality, R for relevance, and then A for access. And all these IQRA, which is the foundation of our actually day-to-day work, we rely on digitalization part. What this means is that we can only bring impact, we can only increase the impact exponentially if we can digitize our processes and then automate our actually workings from all over, whether it's a student point of view, whether it's a patient point of view, or whether it's a overall awareness point of view. So the only way we can bring impact is by using digital means and through digital tools. So I think the biggest pitfall you mentioned in your question, Iftikhar, is willingness to change. Remember, the biggest part in the technology part is not the actual technology, not the actual technical solutions or the tools. The biggest issue is the change management of accepting those technologies, accepting those change. And I always say that digitalization is not a one-time show, one-time thing. It's a journey. It needs a collective ownership from the top management, from the board, from the senior leadership, and also the entire institution. They need to be together in this journey. So I see that whenever we talk about technology, the issues or the challenges, not about the actual tools and technologies, it's about the planning on change management. It's about getting the ownership from all the stakeholders, and it's about willingness to accept of this change, so to use this technology part. So I will just stop there, but before stopping, I will just I'm happy to also inform all of you that we have just gone live on 5th of November at the Aga Khan University with one of the biggest digital transformation projects, which is the electronic health record across our centers in East Africa, which is actually first in the region. And we are, of course, our next one is Pakistan and other parts. So this shows the willingness, the commitment from our management on digital transformation, and also the actually acceptance that this is the way forward. If we can focus on digitalization, then that's the way forward for our future success and sustainability.
Excellent, thank you. We would like to hear more about your project and initiative later. Asif Saab, if you can add.
Thank you, Iftihar, and thanks a lot to GEC Media, to Abdul Qadir and all the team that today I'm also representing Central Depository Company of Pakistan Limited in this August panel. And I would like to pick up where my colleague Shaukat just left. That if you remember that in our technology lives, there are great moments where we have been implementing the core ERP for our business organizations, whether it's SAP or Oracle or whatsoever you call it for your organization, a homegrown solution. And we have seen it that how much challenging it had been and what were the advantages, pitfalls, how things got complex and complicated. And it took months and months and sometimes 2 to 3 years to implement a large scale system. We have all gone through that. So with the digital transformation, I think the most important part of the this whole picture came into is the customer part or the client part, which entered into this entire journey, which made it even more complex now. Now we are talking about the real user who is going to benefit from all the technology implementation that we have done. So my take on this, that for a digital transformation strategy, what lessons that we have learned from our last 3 to 4 years of journey, because as a central depository company, we are responsible for all the settlement of stocks that takes place at the Pakistan Stock Exchange. We are also the mutual fund industry's settlement and custodian provider. We are also the registrar transfer agent of services, and we also provide insurance repository in the entire area which the capital market of Pakistan covers. So what we have seen is that there are at least 6-7 main things. I would like to touch upon each very briefly in next 2 to 3 minutes. Number one is the unclear goals. The unclear goals comes from that why any digital transformation fails is that when the goal is not clearly defined and KPIs are not agreed on, it is more likely that we end up in failure. So it is very important that we developed a very clearly articulated, well understood digital transformation strategy, which has very specific, measurable and achievable goals, what we call SMART goals. And the whole journey starts at the top and then spreads across the entire organization. The next part, what we have seen is that the lack of skills that are required to do this job. These are very important, often not taken important enough at the start of the journey, that where are the right digital and IT skills. If you don't have those capabilities, the tools and the talents to do a successful digital transformation, then everything goes back to square one. So we have seen that often these skills are not available in-house, or if they are available, we have to train our people, or we have to acquire external consultants to do a digital transformation strategy. Next is where Shaukat also touched upon, is the inadequate leadership support. So if we start digital transformation only in some teams or some departments and the top management is not on the board and they are not passionate enough, engaged or committed to the transformation, then the project is doomed to fail. So often it is required that throughout the whole journey, the top management and the people who are involved, we should have a very strong leadership support to do that. Most important component that I would say is ignoring customers. Often what happens that we as technologists, we get carried away in looking at a very fancy, smart looking, beautiful technology. Some vendor came in, he shows us something and we get carried away and we start implementing that. And we found out that this is not what was required to solve the actual problem of the customers. So involving customers is very important. One must have a customer-centric mindset, and unless end-to-end customer journey is considered, then the digital transformation strategy doesn't go anywhere. Next, very important is the internal resistance. Often the internal departments, the segments of the people who are used to working in an old fashioned way, and I'm not blaming them that they do it wrong, but they have a certain way of doing things which is producing results up till now. So they often come as a resistance. So you have to ensure that everybody in the organization accepts the culture of the change, and that's where the leadership support comes in. Sometimes we have seen that we started with thinking that it could be go with a small budget, but then we understand that we didn't plan it rightly, and the lack of budget became at least created some bottleneck or some deadline missing from our part. Most important, again, which is very important for all digital transformation organizations, is ignoring data. That there is ocean of data at least available for us and most of the organization, and we often ignore that data or do not take the right valuable insights from that and just start doing that. One thing that comes from the leadership part or from the stakeholders part is unrealistic deadlines, which I must say that got very harshly put on the technology or the digital teams, that if someone has done this, then let's do that in much lesser time, and just bypassing the user acceptance testing or the security testing of the digital things. So some of these areas are very important. Unless we resolve them, then the team gets overwhelmed with the deadlines. So these are some of my takeaways from Central Depository Company's platform. I hope these are useful for all of you. Thank you.
You almost touched all the touchy points. I'm sure we have something productive from Mr. Mezad Saab as well. Mezad Saab, over to you.
Thanks, Iftihar. So just as a short introduction, I have the opportunity of leading the information security departments, divisions across diversified industry like telecom, banking, and right now FMCG and manufacturing. So as you guys said, a lot of area already discussed, and if you really want to focus on the pitfalls of digital transformation journey, one of my concern or a point which I would like to mention is that sometimes, we are very excited to digitize everything, but the return of investment should be measured first. This is very, very important. And also we have seen that many companies, especially in banks, I have noticed that the CTO, CIO, and then CDO, Chief Digital Officer, these are the positions which are being handled separately. Whereas in some positions, in somewhere actually, they are all done by one guy, So one person doing all these magic. So ideal equation needs to be explored to actually create the balance. Also in digital transformation, rather than, going and picking up some new objectives, someone needs to make sure the existing solutions, we are sweating them properly or not, because they might be having similar feature, but just for the sake of picking up another project, this should not be started. And I have seen different industry until now, no matter they have done great kind of digital transformation, but you go and practically see people are still using Excel files, and eventually, their ERPs, whether we like or not, it turned into a typical Microsoft Excel file. So the great awareness is also required. We have seen projects comes, but in many people, they're not aware of the actual capability of those solutions. So that, like similar to security awareness, capability awareness is also an area which require a separate attention. And as far as I'm from security, I have seen with my experience, the most of the excitement is actually to go and meet the deadline and launch the services on time. However, in parallel, the information security should keep on actually checking the different security levels at different layers to avoid any big surprise at the end. Because, the cost of fixing things after launching any solution is 10 times more than what you right now, you can go and control. And I have really seen that a lot of software houses, they are in hurry. So And we have our own in-house, for example, here we have our own in-house ethical hacking function, and where we are surprised to see a lot of big names which are known as good software houses. They are actually known to create typical, very basic top 10 OWASP security control being missed part of their delivery. And on other side, somewhere hidden, human resistance is also felt, to be honest, because it can be touching someone's nerves who might be hidden behind the blessing of a manual process, which are typically not ready to detect any anomaly activities in real time. So expect these type of resistance also there. And this is also recommended that whenever people go for a digital transformation project for any area, my expectation is that please spare at least 10% of your budget out of that total solution for information security, because that, if not spared on time, will create a lot of gaps at the end. So as I said, the 10-time cost can be felt at the end of the project. So overall, yes, we are all very excited to use this digital transformation, and we are all here to support. But as far as I know technology and luckily also information security, I just try to blend both type of things out of this discussion. Thanks. Over to Iftikhar now.
Thank you, Mazar sir. Absolutely agreed. It's a bitter and harsh reality, but it's true. We have academia representation as well. So Imran sir, could you please add some points of view with the pitfalls of the security strategies?
Yeah, very good afternoon to all of you. Well, first I would like to congratulate World CIO Summit for arranging this show. In fact, I got a chance to become part of DTS project in a number of organizations since I'm wearing the cap of academia. So we used to basically get chance to provide consultancy to others as well. Well, I used to say that this journey is very challenging and it is a continuous journey. And let me share the stats also. McKinsey showcased that, this is by the way, the recent one, showcased that 70% of all digital transformation projects end in failure. Yeah, 70%, that's a lot. This is a big number. This is because of budgeting issue, fail to miss the basic goals, poor planning, lack of leadership, the understanding issue, skills issue, etc., etc. So I really would like to highlight few major digital transformation mistakes. I hope that's going to be useful for the audience as well. Number one, that's going to be the doing too much, too fast, and expecting unrealistic results. Well, this is the simplest recipe for the failure. Remember that even big changes begin with tiny steps. And you cannot do everything at once because you will either burn out or get lost. So what's going to be the fix? Well, the fix is start with the limited MVP and share any positive results, even small ones early on. This will serve as an incentive for stakeholders, management, for your employees, and also showcase that whether your strategy is good enough or you would like to have some kind of adjustment. So you'll be able to see that as well. The number two part, that's basically also the most important, the budgeting and planning. And I have seen that the board used to basically decide, they used to basically make huge plans and jump directly to the executions. Well, without having any kind of detailed budgeting or first check whether you're gonna have the relevant necessary knowledge, skill set. This is exactly how hidden cost begins to pile up in the form of unexpected delays, additional required training, new hirings, etc., etc. So as the best practice says that it's better to basically go ahead and implement like the preliminary planning and buffer to your budget for each part of the project and always take it one step at a time. And that's it. The third point that I really would like to highlight, that's also very much important. Well, digital transformation is not a one-time project. Many organizations still think that the digital transformation to be an ordinary tech project, and once they're going to achieve the goals, they're going to be done. Well, actually, they are not. Why? Because it's really an endless journey. So it's always aimed to basically be innovative for your customers and your organizations. In fact, I used to say that this is basically the time to grow, to think about the growth of exponential, like think about 100% growth, 200%, 500% growth. So if you're talking about that, then you have to be innovative all the time. The next point I would like to highlight, that's also the most important, and that's also the bottleneck. That's basically hiring many vendors instead of one or two solid partners. Well, you need to basically think about that as well. So at the end of the day, if you are hiring lots of hiring vendors, so at the end of the day, it's going to basically very much difficult to manage, consistent with your strategy as well. So this is also very much a hurdle for the organization. Lastly, and Shaukat Saab also said about that, and that's the most important too, underestimating the importance of cultural change in a digital transformation. Well, one of the biggest mistakes an organizations can make when starting is digital transformation journey is maintaining a silo strategy. Well, digital transformation is not just the C-level business or the IT business, it's everyone business. So huge part of successful transformation depends on establishing a free flow of information, the C-level willingness to openly share knowledge with employees and vice versa. That's going to basically provide a company-wide input on the transformation process. So these are the basic mistakes, and the case studies are also written in that particular area as well in order to basically avoid that. Still, I saw that the 70% number from the McKinsey, I thought this is the thing that we should basically highlight, and we should add that as well in our discussion.
Thank you, Imran Saab. Today we have a very strong representation from a banking sector, our guru, our legend, Mr. Faisal. Faisal Saab, over to you.
Thank you very much. Very kind, and I feel humble for a very strong introduction. I think my fellow colleagues, they have already spoken a lot on the subject. So I'll try to be brief so that I don't eat up into the whole time. I think the way I would like to start off is slightly from a different perspective. I've been engaged in a digital transformation journey for a couple of years now. So one is that where the pitfalls are, and the other way is to look at it as how to make it successful. So the way I would like to present it is how to make it successful, and we can find the counter narrative embedded into the message. One thing which is very, very important right at the beginning. So when we decide, or any organization decides they want to embark upon a digital transformation journey, it is very important before you go anywhere, even to your boards or anywhere else, first get into one room and ask a question and bring the elephant to the room, that what does it mean to everybody on the table? And you would be surprised to know that by that time, 10, 20, or depending on the size of the organization, whoever number of executives right at the top sitting in this organization are, at that very moment, they all will be having a different definition of a digital transformation strategy. To some, it would be a means to an end, which is like, let's launch an application and this is digital transformation. To some, it would be automating a process, which is either go through an RP or write some scripts. And to some, it would mean something else. So it's very, very important that at that very point in time, just at the nick of that time, when the first time you call upon to start a digital transformation journey, ink that definition well. What does digital transformation means to that organization and to the people in that room? Stop for a minute, take a step back, and then you would realize that actually DTS, which is the digital transformation stories, or it is actually CTS. It is not DTS, which is the cultural transformation story, because in today's world, I would hardly come across any organization which is digitized enough or ample enough. So is the organization ready to take up that cultural transformation? Because you can bring in best of the breed technologies, you can make them work, you can functionally ensure that they come in the middle, in the core. But if the adoption of those parameters are not well entrenched with the cultural transformation, it will become a very, very seriously challenging matter. Innovating, transforming may make you also irrelevant. So a telco trying to transform like a bank, or bank vice versa, makes you also irrelevant, or bank trying to transform like a healthcare industry. So you need to make sure the transformation journey that you are embarking upon is very, very relevant to the core areas of your businesses. Once you have done that, my very humble opinion about digital transformation journey is organizations, those who embark upon a journey of digital transformation through the core of data practices, are the ones who kind of embrace this change Why? Because digital transformation is also about personalizing the end user experience at the same time. It is very, very important that at the same time, you must also embark upon a journey of cultural transformation. I have personally embarked upon a growth mindset for the people side, because normally what happens is that digital transformation normally becomes a tech burden to the company, and very soon it dies. So primarily, it is not a tech burden. And one more important pitfall, let me also address the pitfall side of it. And if the car told me that I have a limited 3 minutes, so I make sure that I conclude on that. The CIOs, they also need to realize that their roles have actually started to emerge and change. So they are no more the tech leaders, they are actually business transformation leaders. So they need to understand the tech and the business together. And the burden lies on them. How do they transform this journey and translate this into a user experience and user journeys and map them backwards so that they actually fit into the DNA of the organization? If you can't change the DNA of an organization, primarily you will continue to struggle even part of your digital transformation journey.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have already set the atmosphere to discuss the way forward. In our next round, I'll ask an individual question based on your expert areas. So let's talk about that. Too many changes, too many time can self-destruct an enterprise. On the other hand, an aging technology can only lead to higher costs and reducing ROI. My next question to Mr. Shaukat Saab, that when should IT decide to replace a flagship technology platform without creating enormous changes, management issues? And keeping in view your global experience, what is the best strategy to roll out global transformation project involving multiple countries? Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Iftikhar. Very interesting question, and I would say that it's very important that our strategies should be proactive, not reactive. If we go with reactive strategies, then we have to do a lot of changes to fix issues. If we have a strategy of the next 3 years, 5 years, and based on that strategy, if we have a roadmap on a yearly basis, that means we are already in a journey. We already know what's coming. We are already in a control on our current infrastructure and applications. And then we drive in a journey with a controlled and with a ownership manner. So I think what is important here is that as a leader, as a technology leader, we need to have a strategy which is proactive strategy based on the vision of the institution, of which direction we are going, and are we aligning our technological part into that direction. And remember that as a leader, we are not like police or any other controllers. We are enablers. We are support function. We sit with the business. We sit with the leader. We try to understand what they want to achieve, and then we reflect back on how we can help them in enabling so that they can use these technology tools and the entire transformation to go on that journey. So my first suggestion and advice would be have a strategy based on proactive manner. The second one is we at AKU, we follow with an evergreen program. What this evergreen program is that we have a regular inventory of all our hardware and software. What that means is that we don't wait for the end of life and end of support cycle. We proactively put all our budgets, aligning our budgets based on what is the replacement cycle of all this hardware, because that helps us actually in multiple facets. One is, as Mazda Saab said, that from the ICT security point of view, we need to have the right infrastructure to deal with that part. So we have that evergreen program, which help us in actually maintaining and retaining our infrastructure based on industry recommendations and best practices. The another one is, I think the important part also is a regular transformation of this capacity building. Remember that whenever we talk about new technologies, whenever we talk about all these infrastructure, the skill set requirement is also changing. And if we want to cope with our required skills and our future challenges, then I think one important area is also focused on our capacity building with within the institution, within the IT teams, the technology teams, at the same time, the institutional capacity building and the role of technology into that. Because remember that we cannot be information secure, or we cannot be 100% sure unless the entire institution take the ownership, entire users of our technical solutions can understand how to use it and what are the implications if they can do something bad. So I think this is as I mentioned, we are enablers in multifaceted. We are enablers in actually automating and then speeding all those execution of different processes. But at the same time, we are also enablers of awareness within the institution about what is coming, how to use it, do's and don'ts part of it. And then the last part I would suggest is that remember that technology is not something I know, you know, or he know. It's very important to have these collaborations like this forum here, the CIO Summit. We all are from different areas and we are learning from each other. It's very important to have these engagements about leveraging of what's working in one industry and what's not working in another industry. And not only within the country, but on an international level. For example, as Al Khan University, we partner with Harvard, with MIT, with Michigan, and I have regular calls with the CIOs. The purpose is just to learn on what is their digital strategy look like, which direction they are going, what are their pain points, so that we can learn from those pain points and then align our digital strategy together. So I would suggest that we need to have a holistic approach on all these things. It's a multi-directional approach. Our current, our vision, aligning with the vision, our alignment on is scenario about current infrastructure. We need to have a strategy, and also the global trends through learning with partnership and with engagements with these type of forums and also other relevant institutions inside or outside the country.
What we have discussed so far, that our forward-looking digital transformation roadmap is an essential but a separate aspect of a digital transformation strategy, which define all activities need to be completed by achieving final goals. My next question to my group, Mr. Faisal Saab, what can be the challenges one needs to be aware of while following a forward-looking digital transformation roadmap?
When we all make the forward-looking digital strategy or a plan, is it sometimes that people tend to forget that it needs to be very, very well aligned with the business vision as well. I will kind of correlate your last question and this question because they have some overlapping areas as well. Today, the existence of technology and its forward-looking view has drastically changed, at least in the financial industry, whereby we used to live by that a server can only live 4 years and a software can only last 10 years because that's what, as per the accounting principles, it allows, and we have auditors here as well. But now it has changed. Now it is, what is the useful life of that technology in your ecosystem? It could be 1 year and it could be sometimes 3 years. So the relevance of that technology stack is very, very important. So that's one part of it. The second part is the forward-looking view is that a blue ocean strategy needs to be always there for an organization to adopt, because a relevance and a coexistence will always coexist in a forward-looking strategy. And this is where majority of the organizations would suffer. Should I really make that step? Oh, it's too big a leap jump. So that nirvana needs to be very well defined in your future-looking view and leading the industry in terms of setting the trend of breaking that mindset that do you really want to set up the trends or you want to follow the trends? Most of us, we would turn around and say, all right, let's see, it's much safer to follow somebody else. But yes, that's also fine. That's a fair statement to say. But at the same time, a cutting edge technology may have its own implications. So then you need to make sure that you set up the organization accordingly, because we live in the part of the world where we have technology risks as well due to the limitation of or scarcity of certain technology resources. And when you embed upon those journeys, you may come across challenges. So as a cultural transformation and as a forward-looking digital transformation, you need to make sure that where you are making a forward-looking view, you are addressing all such risk as part of your strategy. So it is okay to be cutting edge, but then you need to make sure that the inherited risks are accounted for in accordance with your approach to that strategy as well. That also could mean that you may not find local resources for that set of technologies, and you may have to collaborate. You may have to open up your organization and unthink like a conventional person. Do you really want to collaborate? One of the example I always give, because Dr. Saab is also here from academia, I very forcefully follow it myself as well. A forward-looking strategy could only be built if there is an academic and industrial very strong collaboration, because I'm a very firm believer the right set and right level of research, which could be a real forward-looking research, could only happen in academia, because normally we are commercial organizations, we have set of our own constraints, and we always tend to operate within those constraints. To do the prototyping, you need to go out of that bubble, and then that right place for that bubble to be parked as in an overlap with the academia. And with that triangular, that one part is your risk, the other part is your academia, and the third part, which is your industry, you club that, you try to overlap, create an overlap, and my view is that creates the best forward-looking view in terms of the digital strategy.
Perfect, sir. Perfect. In fact, today I have learned a new thing, that the cultural transformation strategy is much more important than the digital transformation strategy. So you have to build, or you have to implement the CTS instead of a DTS in your organization. Thank you, Faisal Saab. Again, I've learned a lot from your side, especially every time I listen to you, I extract one keynotes and one key advice from your sides. Thank you. Moving forward, we know that futuristic technologies offer transformational potential for businesses. But amidst the noise surrounding these emerging technologies, my next question to Mr. Mehzad Seher Saab, that how can innovation leaders of today identify the emerging technologies that are suitable for their businesses?
Thanks, Iftikhar. So first of all, while listening to Mr. Faisal Anwar, I was just thinking like nowadays, it's the age of fintech. So we are all talking about digital transformation. So I expect, especially in starting from fintech, the CIO will be very soon gonna, join as a CEO, because that is actually a kind of, the organization transformation. In addition to digital transformation, these type of things, should happen, because these type of areas, they really require a key position, this type of mindset. Now, back to your question, where actually you are mentioning about that throughout this whole excitement, what's happening. So as we mentioned earlier, ideally, we are supposed to meet business first and then know their requirement, because they are our customers. They are going to pay for our salary check, and then we should actually, do all digitalizations. So if there is a disconnect, this disconnect should be immediately removed. So usually while taking decisions for this type of technological innovation, one of the best thing is to get help from, the forums like Gartner, Forrester, to know the actual roadmap of technology. Because I have seen with some experience that sometimes, if something looks very attractive, but there is a catch in the long run, maybe the technology is going to be obsolete, and then you are just going to purchase because it looks very, very, attractive procurement point of view. So this is a typical technology challenge. Also, the buzzwords like the data, the new oil, and these type of things. We need to understand the data and business intelligence having, if eventually is going to have kind of data lake, but again, not at the cost of overall data compromise. So yes, keep your excitement within control, because putting all eggs in one basket, it can hit another issue. Same thing, this type of buzzword like artificial intelligence, and we know AI is coming on driving seat, but it should not happen at the cost of losing human interaction. That is still, very much important. and the feeds should come, the intelligence feed should come from them also, based on lot of cultural, learning and human learning. So overall, agile and more secure business solution, because as you know, my core expertise in information security. And what we have noticed while selecting these technological solutions, one thing is very important. If you go and check any single RFP, you will find, for the sake of winning the project, all vendors, they say, yes, we are compliant. So even you intentionally go and put something like Mission Impossible, they will love to say, yes, that is, easily achievable. And these type of vendors at the screening stage should be discouraged, rather than having 11th hours, surprises, because once they are in, it is very difficult to, kick them out. And so that due diligence should happen in the beginning. And I will highly recommend, the proof of concept idea, because nowadays many vendors, they have picked up this all buzzword, and everyone, to be honest, if you just change their vendor name, the slide deck is almost same. So how you're going to differentiate? Just with the help of, the action speaks louder than word, with the help of kind of proof of concept results. And this should happen in very much detail. So better to sweat yourself during the evaluation process. And of course, it's very difficult to judge someone just based on their, again, PPT, to judge their security. Usually we get help from the SOC 2 type of reports, which are already available in the form of third-party review. So that really, help you to decide or strengthen your decision-making. And also don't come at the end while doing, all security testing or typical quality assurance at the end, because it could be too late. So better to do this type of review in layers during architecture design cycle till implementation, to have as possible number of gaps. Nowadays there are technology available which can even help you to know the overall index of the vendor, the delivery index of the vendor, and including the security index. That can really help you to even negotiate during your procurement cycle, to give them hard time to actually become more serious delivery provider, rather than just taking such things as a formality. And one thing during all this technology, innovation, I highly still believe, I'm a strong believer of keeping your crown jewel on the intranet. I have seen people are very, excited nowadays to put everything on cloud and, on the internet, but there is some serious business. Better, rather than working on risk mitigation, avoid the risk, which is only possible to do some good due diligence and putting your very critical stuff still on the intranet, not on the internet, to avoid your threat, to actually minimize your threat landscape. This is also important. And one of the good example is, you might be aware, last week Microsoft, Azure was compromised, and unnecessary, thousands of their customers actually, they were exposed. So the lesson learned is, yes, we are all here to support new ideas, digitizations, cloud, but please, it should not happen in silo. Business dialogue and complete due diligence should happen, keeping all risk on the table and keeping your board of directors and top management aligned and discussing this, and then taking such critical final decisions. Thanks.
Perfect. Now we have different opinions from different backgrounds, like we talk about hospital point of view, banking, and the FMCG. Now it's time to turn the show from to Mr. Asif Shah. Asif Shah, I have a very different and a unique question for you. Well, as the central depository company, which is a key backbone of our financial sector, operates under the close watch of SECP in the line with the Securities Act 2015. My question is that how do you balance the role of frontline regulator for the overall capital market operations versus the new opportunities available via digital innovations and fintech? Asif has already touched about the fintech part, but I would love to hear with respect to the CDC point of view. Over to you.
Thank you, Iftikhar. Thank you. And I would just like to thank my colleague Mehzad that he, for a moment, he at least reminded us or took us to the golden age of our youthful days, that if something looks attractive, then there is going to be a catch at the end. So thank you, Mehzad, for reminding us that. Coming back to your question, Iftikhar, I think as CDC, certainly the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan is the apex regulator in Pakistan for all the capital market operations. And the Securities Act 2015, which is approved by the parliament back then, applies to asset management companies, to insurance companies, to brokerage houses, to stock exchange, to central depository, to national clearing companies. So at the center of this entire capital market operations, we have a lot of frontline regulator roles passed on to us through that act. And I would like to take a practical example to respond to your question that 2 years, it's now been 2 years that government of Pakistan decided that the entire diaspora of Pakistanis living abroad should be investing in Pakistan by opening Roshan digital accounts. And they, along with the banks, the State Bank of Pakistan came with a novel idea that with a very limited KYC, a digital account should be opened for any Pakistani, and he can then remit his money here for any of those lawful transactions that are allowed under this arrangement. So what we decided as a CDC, we took the initiative that why don't we, because we were already technically connected with all these downstream companies which comes under the Securities and Exchange Commission, that why don't we connect them to the banks and allow the stock trading, allow the mutual fund investments through our means. So we put up a project with SBP and SECP with the help of banks like UBL and Bank Al-Falah and all other banks in Pakistan, the big banks and the small banks, and their customers now can do all of these transactions which they want to do in a stock exchange. They can bring their money inside, they can take their profits back without any manual process. So what we realized during that operation that the same thing can be applied to the Pakistani customers as well, which like you, me have bank accounts, and we already have shared our know your customer information to the bank. So why don't we use the very same information that bank already has, got it with the right documents available to them? Why don't we bring that to the capital market? So right now we are working with the banks again and State Bank of Pakistan to allow resident Pakistanis or the Pakistanis living in Pakistan to invest in the similar manner. And also are working on a bigger platform that SECP has different departments for each of its insurance, capital market, asset management companies, and they have different set of regulations and requirements for KYC. So we asked them, why don't you make them a single piece of regulation, because all you need is the basic information and the added information to ensure the customer due diligence. Why don't you summarize that all? And we have a central gateway of this all information available once recorded by a bank, then it could be made available to any of the brokerage house, asset management, and the customer doesn't need to give the documents again and again to different entities to operate in. So we realize this potential while within a regulator role that this digital innovation opportunity is very much there to reduce the customer burden of providing same set of documents, whether it's their Zakat form or any of their updated CNICs or any added information to insurance industry, to mutual fund industry, and to the brokerage houses. At the very same time, we also requested SECP to allow us to participate a major role, which is the technology evaluator role in their regulatory sandbox arrangement. So SECP was very kind enough to consider us for that role. And now we sit there evaluating the new fintechs, which applies to do a project. And our job is to provide the technology evaluation, the security soundness of that proposal, and whether it's only a good idea on the paper and it is a good vision, or the company has the capability to take it to the next level. So these are the roles that we are performing. I wanted to keep it short because the time is, I believe, running out.
For the sake of my clarity, that how do you see the role of fintech in a forward-looking digital transformation roadmap, especially in your area?
A lot of fintechs are working in the capital market arena right now, in the KYC domain, in the onboarding of the customer domain, and providing short micro loans to the companies. And we think that they have a great opportunity. That's why we are working, at least right now, we are working with at least 4 fintechs which are allowed within the sandbox. We ourselves created or partnered with a fintech to provide a mutual fund industry platform, which is AMC agnostic. You can see the rates of all the mutual funds there, and you can decide wherever you want to go while maintaining a single account. So we think there is a great opportunity for them with collaboration, and there is a opportunity for coexistence both with the established players and with the fintechs together to provide solutions to the customers, because a lot often these companies have good ideas, they come up with fresh ideas, they challenge the status quo, they challenge the mindset of the companies which are providing these services for quite a number of time. Of course, the other big companies have their own strength of our great technology platform, of great people like Mehzad, who focuses on right aspects of the security, because you don't want to end up creating a value while destroying all what you have till today.
So first, I would like to say that Iftikhar, this session learning is not only for you. I got a chance to learn from all of you as well. So it's credit goes to the World CIO Summit for that as well. Okay, coming back to your question. So universities are basically, we are the supply line. So we are basically playing the pivotal role. So at the end of the day, we really would like to collaborate with the industry as well, so that we can basically work on the right wavelength as well, so that we can basically produce the right results as well. So universities are basically working in three major dimensions. So first, what they are doing the research, as Faisal Saab mentioned, that our forte is basically to provide research. So we are doing research in the cutting edge technologies. You can say that the artificial intelligence, biotech, robotics, and the cyber domain as well. And the second part also, that's also the major important, and this is basically somehow, I can say that, area of improvement for Pakistan also. What we are doing, we are basically doing the research, but on the other hand, the second phase, that is basically the conceptualization of new technology and applied science to introduce new product to the market. That's also very much important aspects. And that is basically, as I said, that's the area of improvement. And we need to basically work on that. So at the end of the day, we can come up with some kind of products also for the market. Number three, that's also the most important. That is basically the map the consequences of fourth industrial revolution for the people, economics, and politics. So this is also the role of academia to do that as well. And we are the only industry who can basically provide input for that as well, right? So from the human resource perspective, you said that we are facing challenges. I do agree with that. The other day, I had a meeting with the PwC also, and they also said the similar kind of thing. And they said that we are not getting the good human resource, specifically in the metropolitan cities also. And I said that now it's going to be very difficult for you to get the good resource. They said, why? So I said that because our students wanted to basically do something by their own. So things have changed now. As I said, that I'm in the academia since last 16, 17 years. So in the early 2000s, everybody wanted to join the MNCs, banks, but now everyone would like to basically go ahead and start something by their own. So mindsets have changed. It's Generation Z worked like in a very, very different way as well. So what's the solution? So I do have some thing to basically talk about that as well. So we are facing challenges for the humans. So as I said, that the good resources basically would like to do some kind of freelancing, and they are basically getting very good payment from that as well. By the way, we are as a nation number 4 in the world as a freelancing. And we are basically adding very good revenue in terms of overall GDP also. So what they are doing, they are basically starting all those things during the industry life as well. So they are making very good money. And on the other hand, I would like to highlight that's also very much important aspect to say here. That's the role of incubation centers. So I really would like industry to collaborate with the incubation centers as well. What they are doing wonders as well. What they are doing, they are working on different products. So what you have to do, you just need to basically collaborate with the startups. In one way, they're going to basically get the pilot project. On the other way, you can basically get your solution. So this is basically the win-win situation for both, for the industry as well as for the startups too. So we do have a very good startup culture in Pakistan. And I used to say to all, and I used to say to my students in different conferences as well, the next 10 years, that is basically the entrepreneurship years for our country. So you're going to basically see lots of good startups in the fintech area, in the cybersecurity area, and the other areas as well. So what we have to do, we just need to basically facilitate. We need to collaborate. We need to basically give the opportunity so that they can basically do the pilot as well. what is the missing area that I am seeing right now? They are not getting that, the pilot. So as Mehzad Saab said that if the POC is basically very much important. So I really would like industry to basically provide opportunity so that basically they can go ahead and do some kind of POC.
Gentlemen, the time is up, and if you would allow me to add my 2 cents, if I would like to encapsulate the whole discussion throughout the last 60 minutes, my 2 cents would be that if digitization is supposed to be truly transformative, the business strategist should stay focused on the business priorities, impacts, and corresponding changes instead of just technological trends. So what I've learned today that the cultural transformation is much more important than the digital transformation. With this note, thank you everyone, and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Thank you to all the panelists for such an insightful session. I think all the questions have been addressed in the question and answer panel. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we move ahead to the awards distribution. A little bit information about the award categories. We have 4 categories: Legend CIO, which is Lifetime Achievement Awards; Leader CIO, experience of more than 15 to 20 years and unparalleled technological experience in a career lifespan; Master CIO, experience of 10 to 15 years and multiple domain expertise; and finally, the Next Generation CIO, experience of 5 to 10 years or less and undertaken mammoth projects in a less span of time. Following are the winners of the CIO 200 Pakistan Edition 2022. congratulations to all the winners. I would like to once again welcome Syed Abdul Qadir for the closing note.
Thank you very much, JC Media, for the great honors, and congratulations to all the winners. It's a great honor being part of top 50 IT leaders of Pakistan, and those will be anxiously waiting for the GC Media to announce in, I think, 1 or 2 days, to announce top 5 leaders who will be heading to Thailand for the grand finale. Okay, so my overall takeaway while listening to the wisdom of my panelists and speakers supporting Albert Einstein point of view, he said, we cannot solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. So it is very critical because every major challenge has 3 critically important lenses that must be aligned the right way in order to help usher into true innovation and industry disruption. And this is explained by our fellow panelists that number 1, the business, number 2, experience, and the more importantly, technology lenses. So point of views was discussed regarding clear technology governance strategy, its agile implementation, passionate, committed leadership that will take ownership, innovative and flexible culture to actively promote digitally driven vision strategy. It is very important for the digitally skilled and security oriented workforce to be there so that they can drive new revenue streams, better engagement with the customer by using emerging technologies like we discussed, big data, AI, ERP, etc. And someone also said very rightfully that if you are reacting to the competitor rather than being a game changer, you have already missed the boat. So last but not least, as a nation, Pakistan needs a vibrant digital ecosystem to strengthen the economy, boost exports, and help provide jobs for 2 million young people who enter the workforce each year. Thank you very much once again on behalf of Pakistan. Thank you, GC Media, and looking forward for the next year with the bang physical event of the CIO Summit in Pakistan. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Syed Abdul Qadir. With that, we conclude the World CIO 200 Summit, Pakistan edition today. I hope you all enjoyed the session. And before signing off, we would like to thank all the panelists and moderators for their amazing insights on the ongoing trends in the IT industry. Thank you so much for taking the time out today and joining us. Stay safe and stay secure. See you soon. Bye.